All right. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Live Inspired with Ishita Iyer. Um, Today's guest is a very, very dear friend, someone I've known, adored, looked up to for almost 8 years now. Someone I met while I was training to be a clinical hypnotherapist. We actually completed it together, and the reason why I thought bringing him to the show would be very, very inspiring, because I think he's one of the very few people that I know that actually walks his talk when it comes to dealing with both internal and external challenges. Someone who's turned his life around with his lifestyle changes. Now when I say lifestyle, and as we go on to kind of understand, it's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. And he is one of the most compassionate people I know, and I see that translating it into his general health and well-being. um, Varun has been a survivor and a warrior of congenital scoliosis, which is the onset of multiple sclerosis and degeneration of the spine, spinal osteophytes due to osteoarthritis, skeleton and muscular degeneration. I hope I got the pronunciations right. Varun is also otherwise a social entrepreneur, and he is also a wellness coach and a therapist par excellence. So without me wasting more time talking about him, I think I would love to hand it over to him. Um, Hi, Varun. Thank you so much for giving me your time, and allowing me to do this with you. As I mentioned before we started, I just randomly call you and I tell you, I want to do this with you, and you're always there. You're one of the most supportive people. So, Varun, tell
Thank
us.
you, and gratitude for having me on the show.
Thank you. So, Varun, tell us a little bit, about yourself. What do you do, and your journey until now, both personally and professionally.
Right. All right. So I wouldn't start with a typical cliched way of saying that Varun Singh, and XYZ, I am into this and that. Well, I would say Varun Singh, who is, again, I would not start with the cliche line, and I would say that is a happy person, is into big time fitness, is living life with absolute gratitude, and an inventor of me. And when I say me, it comes to my existence. That's some motto which I live with in my life. The
Beautiful.
inventor of me probably is the beginning, and that beginning of me is my existence. So I think so that sums up everything into one thing, that what my life could be all about right now at this moment, wherever I am in 2020.
That's
And
amazing.
apart from it, definitely you've given all the introduction,
Yeah.
all by tags and titles, whatever you wanted to utilize, you've given the audience absolute introduction. And meantime, as we proceed into the show, definitely we'll move forward with what the journey has been and what I have been into.
Right. And before we proceed, I must compliment you. You're looking very fit and you're looking very good. You're
Thank
glowing.
you.
You're glowing with vitality, health, and God bless you. Okay, so Varun,
Thank you.
some of these questions I have curated. Some of these
Mm-hmm.
questions, a few of them actually, have come from someone who was diagnosed with something very similar, in almost on the borderline. So,
Right.
these questions have been a mix of people who have struggled or have had similar struggles when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
the health, and
Mm-hmm.
they're really, really looking forward to kind of hear your take on that. So my first question, Varun, is
Right.
when was your diagnosis made, and if you could share a little bit on that in a gist. And how were you leading your life before the diagnosis was made?
Well, as you know it, right. So, as you know it, that it's been a congenital scoliosis, and congenital means by birth. So that is something. There is nothing that where I lived before it or after it. There is no before and after pictures as what in my condition would be. It was something which I was born with. And of course, this wasn't diagnosed at a very early stage at the time of birth. Probably it happened about like into few years. I was growing up, and the deformity was starting to come up. My parents, family friends, they noticed it, and I used to have a very short neck and probably tilting towards a side. So that was something they picked up on it, and they said that they told my parents that why don't you get it diagnosed? There is not something normal with Varun. And probably that was the day when the first instance my parents probably got thinking that yes, there is some problem and we should get it diagnosed. And of course, the story then started with consulting the orthopedics and, of course, the diagnosis with the relevant x-rays and tests and everything. And then finally, the orthopedics concluded that yes, I am suffering from a congenital scoliosis.
Right, right. Okay.
So
So,
that has been the thing which was diagnosed not at the time of birth, like I said, though it was congenital, but
right.
yes, of
Yeah,
course, at a later stage when the curvature or when my skeleton started to grow in a very deformed way. So it started to show up.
approximately how old were you when this
This was about around the age of around 8 to 10 years
okay.
at that time. So that was the time, yes. My first consultation, I still remember it happened. And it did happen with then India's best orthopedic surgeon, of course. He's now no more. So that was the time I started my journey with this congenital scoliosis. And thank you. I still live with it and I'm happy with it.
Beautiful. Um, so, the reason why I asked you how old you were at that time was because um, I want to know, and I want to, viewers to know what went through your mind when you were given it. When you were told that, okay, that you have this condition. Um, and at that point in time, did it impact your
Hmm.
personal life, or did it impact your life in some way?
Well, actually, a boy who's about 8 to 10, he's still living his childhood. So you don't understand the medical absolute terminologies or what's wrong with you. Probably, if you try to explain a child that there is something medically not okay. So obviously, at that point, I wouldn't be able to understand. But it was more of an annual visit rather than, I would say, till now there has been no treatment in medical science till whatever time I've been under consultation with the orthopedic. That's the last my last consultation was with the orthopedic right about 8 years back, and hence I have never visited a doctor in my life. So of course we'll come to that part later. But then why when it was diagnosed, and since then up to 2011-12, I had like almost regular doctor visits, annual visits. They were like complete morning sessions for me. Morning times I used to be with the doctor. Then evening time I used to be back with him with the test done during the day. So basically, the doctors were just monitoring me and keeping me under observation because, like I said, there is no treatment for it. So all they can do is keep me under observation as per this scenario that what kind of skeletal curvature or deformity is going from point A to B. That's all they were monitoring, that what all
Right.
are the parameters in the body that deviating from a normal body which will be growing in life. So that was probably the only observation which I've been undergoing for so many years for that matter.
Right. But while you were studying in college and school, was there ever any challenge on an emotional level for you because of that?
Yes, they were. As I kept growing later on, like when I started to further grow, get into my teens, I could never be a part of any sports event in my school. No annual events, no sports team, no extracurricular activities, because that has been something which I've never been into my life. And of course, compared to now, to that part, I think they're totally diverse. Nobody would ever imagine looking at me at right now that, oh, Varun, you had these kind of restriction that I
Right.
could never be a part of a simple personal PT that's not even any kind of a workout or any kind of, sporting activity, a normal PT class. I used to stand on the side in the entire class was performing PT. So I was exempted from all these physical activities, whichever was training on my skeleton or for my body.
Right. And now your Instagram is filled with pictures of you in the gym. Uh,
So
you know.
that exactly what people would see right now. It's just the complete side. They would probably
Right.
think that this is
Right.
something I would say that it's magic, or probably they would think that this is all a facade.
Right.
Something is wrong. They're all edited pictures.
But you actually look younger. Honestly, you look younger than a last. I think I met you last year. You look a lot more younger, which is good. Um, okay, so I'm aware of the fact
Well,
that
I will quote something over here when you're
yeah, sure,
complimenting me on uh, me looking younger. Well, I've always believed in one thing, that don't let age change you, change the way
absolutely.
you age. That's very important for me. And that's the mantra. And probably that is something which I've lived by. And you see this kind of youth now coming in. And probably whatever I lost, those sporting activities or those schooling activities, whichever I've missed, probably I have accomplished that 100 times. I have no complaints with life.
Okay, so I'm aware of the fact that you made the transition and the shift to Ayurvedic medicine at a particular
Right.
stage in your life, and
Yes.
now you did mention that you've been to umpteen number of top doctors, and there hasn't been like a proper studied or researched solution for this. At
Yes.
what point did you decide that no, you know what, I want to explore that part of the medical system, because I know it's a huge part of your life.
Sure. Because like every time, even then, like as I said, like when I was 8 to 10 years, it was diagnosed, and then like every year it became an annual visit. We used to go for summer holidays. So wherever we used to go, like I've been to so many countries with again another set of good top doctors, top orthopedics, and everywhere it used to be only going for checkups. So it was checkups and holiday, rather not a holiday and a checkup. So my motto was going for a checkup, not for a holiday. So we used to have these. So probably I have consulted to various major countries of the world with the top doctors, as I said. So this happened until about 2005, 2006. I've been visiting all over the world, and that's the time. Then again, I started to obviously I was maturing enough. I was starting to grow, and then I was understanding that it's not required now, and probably I felt like I'm just a guinea pig. Doctors don't do anything. All the time they're just measuring me. They're just taking my parameters. They're just testing on me. And that's it. Okay, good, Varun. We'll see you next year. That's all I was told later on. So probably that started to make me understand that why am I going to these doctors? Are they giving me any benefit? Am I deriving anything out of these visits to the orthopedic? Well, probably that was the time when I started to understand, like I said, around 2005. So I probably made that visits once in 3 years and once in about 4 years and 5 years, and then I completely stopped in about 2012. Now, what happened with me was in 2010, I completed my MBA, of course. Before that, I had been doing with my graduations in law and everything. So, thankfully, I'm even grateful to life that I've been fortunate enough to complete my good amount of education, and probably that's been one of my biggest achievement as well. That in this medical conditions, I've been able to, achieve a sizable amount of education in my life. So, like I said, the final education part of mine was 2000 completion of my dual MBA. I was doing two MBAs. So, at that time, my final semesters, I still remember that I was not able to hold a pen while I was writing my exams, and I was almost leaving about 70%. I just completed about 60 to 70% of my papers, last three papers, and I was just not able to hold a pen. A simple pen like this, I had no grip. I used to like pop 10 painkillers, and I was having all sorts of nonsense energy drinks to just keep my energy up. At that time, I was thinking maybe it's my dual MBA program that is taking a toll on my body. It's my stress for performance in my exams, and also that was the thing I was thinking basically. But then, as I completed my final semester, and thankfully again, I performed with obviously a grade one in my MBA again, in spite of going through all that. So in that, after that, when and this I was doing in Delhi, where I was staying alone, and of course, the family was in Mumbai. So when I packed off and came back to Mumbai about in 2010, one day I was, I came back and we started, I started looking up for jobs, and while I was there as well, I was looking up, I mean, for my job scenarios and everything. We were having on-campus placements and all. At that very moment, that point of time when I had this huge energy shifting from education part to a professional part, going into the corporate world, going into the work world, things started to really dwindle at a very fast space. That was the time 2010, 11. I probably started to feel that my body was giving up at a much faster pace. I used to go walks with my mother, and I could hardly walk. And we used to just laugh it off that I used to tell my mom, I said, Mom, I think so your son is basically getting older than you. The son will age faster than the mother. And we used to just laugh it off. So even at that time, I was not taking this medical problem of mine something very seriously until slowly, as the weeks passed by, my condition started to deteriorate at a very random pace to a level in 6 months' time, I almost came to a bedridden state where even getting up from a bed and approaching my room door would take me about 5 minutes. And I was completely in a soared up body. I had lost sizable amount of weight, muscle mass, bone density, everything. So then I felt that yes, my body was trying to tell me something. It was like telling me goodbye. It's your time. You end here. So that was one kick in my life. I would say the biggest kick I ever felt when it came to my medical condition was in about 2011-12 when I got the biggest jolt in my life. That was the day that period I realized that yes, there is a medical problem with me. And as I said before that, I never felt anything because it was basically only under observations, nothing else. So what made the difference over here is as I kept growing, my skeletal deformity, my body started to degenerate. It is basically a very natural human process. We all go through degeneration as we age. We are
Age.
aging right from the day one we have been on this planet. So it was nothing new for me. Well, what was new for me is because I had an underlying congenital scoliosis problem, it aggravated the problem to a much faster pace, which no doctors could understand or could predict when I was under treatment during my teens and during my early childhood days that this would be one day you would be facing this kind of a problem. No doctor would ever come up and tell me then and never told me even later. So even then finally when I went for my last consultation of my life to an orthopedic doctor here in Mumbai, I was consulting to the top doctors. They used to again give me the same story. Oh, it's psychological. It is something, Varun, you just need to take these probably prescribed painkillers, these suppressants. And basically they were just muscle relaxers. They were not giving me solution. I need to get okay. I need to get well with them rather getting dependent on medicine. Well, if you're, I feel that if you have a medicine, it should find a cure for you and rather not make you dependent on it. That is
Right.
a question I need to understand, and I did. And even now, I feel that that is very important aspect. I feel that a medicine should cure you and rather not make you dependent. Then, if that's the case, you're not healed.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know so much of this myself. So it's, I mean, beautiful
Yes,
journey.
because I have
Okay.
basically kept my life very personal and private. Even with my family, for that matter, I do not discuss
Yeah,
my
that I'm
personal
aware.
things again with them because I feel that I'm more of an independent person who I feel that there is everybody, of course, there is family, there are friends, everybody, but then at the end of the day, your story is with you only. And it kind of gives you a confidence. That's very important for all the people watching this show. That why this has worked big time for me is that I've always said there is nobody for me, and yet there is everybody for me. This has been again one of the biggest mantra. There is nobody for me, and yet there is everybody for me. So when I say that when there is nobody for me, all of a sudden my mind says that okay, get up, wake up. There is nobody.
You
You
have
need
to
to
fend
take a
for
call on your
yourself.
life.
Yeah.
Act proactively. Yes. So proactively, you need to take a call. What is right for you, and you need to push yourself. Nobody is going to take you up from the bed. Nobody is going to hold your hand and take you through the door. You got to do it. So probably you make your mind very strong with that. When you say that there is nobody with you, and when I say that there is everybody with me, of course, there is gratitude. You have family and friends.
Okay. So, Varun, you and I have done our clinical hypnotherapy together. And we have often
Right.
spoken, I mean, we've had so many discussions ourselves, like even personally, about how putting your mind into healing yourself, no matter what kind of medicine or you choose to kind of take. Um, could you share a
Mm-hmm.
little bit on your journey with us on that topic in terms of how important the mind is? Because I remember when I called you for the interview as well, you told me even if you're taking an allopathic pill, you need to put your mind to it. It's not going to just kind of, it's not a magic wand. Um,
Right. Right. Right.
so, share a little bit on, how you have been, how you have navigated through this. I mean, with the help of your mind.
Right. Right. So it's basically we're including medicines which are Ayurvedic and which are allopathy. And even in today's world, the allopathy is obviously doing experiments based on placebo effect. We all know that. But even today, during the COVID times, we are having vaccines which are being taken care of even in that scenario when it comes to placebo effect and of course the actual vaccines. So what are working? Or for that matters, any medicine, whatever are being on in the medical field, whatever are the new researches are also based on the placebo effect. So we know that. So the placebo effect is enough to, it's basically, I need to understand that, or we all need to understand that the, the placebo effect is a simple proof that by simply believing that whatever you put your energy into something, you literally begin to create it.
Right,
So that's something when you put an energy of a medicine into your mind, you give that power of mind to magnify the
right,
quantity of that medicine into a million times. And that is where your advent of healing would start.
right. And,
So
now,
obviously, so it has to be the mind and body
yeah,
connect. Yes, because the
absolutely.
mind is the epicenter of your body.
With the intention, the intention with which you even choose to take the medicine
Right.
becomes so important because, I mean, there's so many people that I know, even when they're popping a pill,
Hmm.
constantly complaining about something that's not related to the condition also, and
Right.
that's the energy that they're putting inside the body. And they wonder why nothing that they do is working. And
Absolutely.
I think weight loss is also a great example because it's so psychological.
Yes.
We have people doing and taking all sorts of things but unable to kind of nudge. So thank you for that. um, Varun, you are living proof of the fact that when you sow the seeds of healing into a soil that
Right.
is open to receive it and allow it to grow.
Right.
Um, and by this, I mean, and this is something I also believe in, um, when we have to start a journey, you need to prep and use tools um, for that first. Like a farmer will use fertilizers and a lot of other things to
Right.
prep the
Right.
soil. So, what are some of the practices that have been a part of your life, that have been an integral part of your life and journey?
Uh, First thing I would say that, whenever you need to start with any kind of a healing, whether it's the Ayurvedic practice or whether it's the uh, allopathy, or for that matter, a day-to-day living as well, any beginning of a new, you need
Journey.
to be willing for that. You need to be willing for that, and you need to be committed, because that is something without that, I don't think so that anything can
Absolutely
be
not.
achieved. You need to be first very sure of it that whenever you take a tab, whenever you take a capsule, it's going to make you okay.
Right.
For whatever reason you're being there treated, you are going to get absolutely cured with it. Well, then we'll see whether the medicine has done the cure or whether your mind has done the cure. But of course, like I say, it's the mind which has taken care of the medicine and not the medicine which has taken care of the mind.
Right.
This is some important fact I would like to be very clear in my life, that it has been the case, because medicine, allopathy, there has been no treatment, like I said, so that has never worked for me. It has been the mind which has been the one who's been itself
Right.
been the medicine for it. It
Right.
never required any external medicine. Of course, I am still under an Ayurvedic treatment, but that again, my doctor of Ayurveda, he again used to tell me that, Varun, it is you who has healed. It is not me who has done anything
Absolutely.
for you. So
Because
he
you
has
you
once
wanted to
complimented
find
me
a
that,
solution.
you have been my biggest inspiration. Right, right, right.
You've always everything that you've done, and I've been a witness to that. You're always open to kind of trying new things that will help you provide a solution
Absolutely.
to a problem.
Because I'm open to the universe. That's very important.
Absolutely.
I'm open to life. We need to understand that aspect and dynamics. In today's world, still a lot of people at large are still not understanding the concept of bringing in spirituality, bringing in alternative healing, or for that matter, different modalities into their mainstream life. And I think so. This is very important. I have been the biggest believer of it in today's time. Well, earlier when I wasn't into it, like 2012, we did our course together, and that has been a new journey for me. But before that, I used to always feel that, oh, what nonsense is this? I still remember watching TV shows or hearing about these things and reading articles, the book. I used to always just slash it aside and used to think, what rotten rubbish it is. It does not work. And here I am today on the other side of the table saying that, you know what, there is nothing beyond all these practices.
Right. So, I mean, do you include things like, do you do things like yoga or meditation? Is that something you use? Are those the kind of practices and tools that you've used to assist you, or has it been something else?
Like I said, 2012, when I started with my healing process, this journey with you, since then, when we finished our course of healing, after that, of course, my journey started with Ayurveda. And while it was undergoing, I used to, before that, I became very restless in my life. My mind wasn't calm because my body was giving way. So my mind wasn't calm. Obviously, I was fighting with myself. Then I started to like really blame myself. So kind of unforgiveness started setting in. So obviously, I needed to then understand and realize that where am I going wrong? And then, even then, later on, it so happened when I started my Ayurvedic treatment, the doctor said till 1 year that Varun, your medicines aren't showing any results. Why? Because you've got blockages in your mind. You've been very negative and they're not working. So that was also one of the element which I said, oh, my Ayurvedic doctor is also making a lot of sense. And while I've done my healing practices as well, so when I kind of started to calm down. I started to meditate. I started to read about it, watch a lot of videos, articles, and so on. So, in a way, then I realized that what am I fighting for? The fight is with me, it's with nobody else. I think so. We need to realize this one fact that we think that we're fighting with the world, we're fighting with the universe. Well, no, you're fighting with your own
Without,
self. And how foolish is that when you're
absolutely.
fighting with I
How
think so that is
beautiful is
the
this?
most foolish thought. And when you realize that that you're fighting with yourself and how foolish you are. So I think so all of these negativity just go goes into the trash can at that very moment. It does not take much longer to understand this. That is very important.
Right.
That we understand this fact. So obviously, when I understood this, and then of course with my meditation, with understanding, with maturing in my mind to understand that these things are definitely making a lot of sense only when I calm myself, calm my mind, accept whatever is there in the universe and make the best use of it. Life started to open up.
Okay. Beautiful. You've shared some beautiful nuggets with us. Um, has there been someone um, that has inspired you in your life and your healing process? Has who or what has inspired um, you beyond yourself and your and your will to kind of find a solution and overcome whatever you have been put through?
Well, again, I would not be sharing a very cliched answer here that, oh, a typical award-worthy speech that, oh, I grateful to them and I'm grateful to him and thank you to my parents and all that. Of course, everyone I'm grateful for. But one thing in my life, I've always believed that I've never been inspired by anyone. Well, it'll sound very odd. Let me get this fact, first of all, very clear, and I'll make it clear that why am I saying this? That I've been the only source of inspiration myself, and no individual in my life has been an inspiration. A lot of people hearing actually would think that, oh, what he's talking nonsense. But well, I'll explain about this. Well, I need to make myself understand when I say that I am that inspiration or I've been the only source of inspiration. I am the universe. And this universe is me. This is again a mantra, a quote which I always been following about and I've always lived by. That I am the universe and this universe is me. So I think so everything sums up over here. That when I become my source of inspiration to myself, I think so that will be the most purest form of healing.
Right.
What are you learning from yourself every single moment? You become your own teacher. What is your habit teaching you every moment?
This is
What
the
is
most
your every moment teaching you?
this is the most spiritual, if I put it that way. The highest source of spirituality, I believe, is self-love, and I think you've mastered that. And I because it all comes down to not. I completely resonate with you when you say that you have been your biggest source of inspiration, and you are grateful to yourself that you have been
Yes,
with
because
yourself.
I think so. We haven't come across people who would say this fact. At first instant, when I have said this right now, also you would be saying that what? I mean, come again. That will be that question in your mind, and for other people who are watching this video as well. That what? I mean, this is not a regular answer.
That's
But
definitely
now I
not.
think so it'll very well resonate with people. What am I
Absolutely.
saying?
And I think it should be that way, honestly, because I think we don't credit ourselves enough, which is where a lot
Yes,
of our psychological, uh, uh, you know, um, tussle also starts. Um, because
absolutely.
we are trying here to understand the fact that taking responsibility for yourself and every single emotion is the only way to your salvation of whatever you're going through.
Yes, and also when I'll take that one thing from here, what you just mentioned, that responsibility. The responsibility is basically, I think so. Today I've been the most responsible person when it comes
Absolutely.
to in the family. Now, why that thing has happened is because I took responsibility of myself. The moment I took that responsibility of myself, automatically everything is falling in place. Every external responsibility when it comes to my family, organizing things, or for being there for everybody, not just family, for other people, friends, and everything. I think so that responsibility factor just disappears like rays into other people's life, and then you become responsible
Absolutely.
as an individual for others. You have a management for others as well, for your for your older parents, for your siblings, for your family, other friends, XYZ people. So
Okay.
people start to look up to you then. Rather than you looking up to people, people would start looking up to you. And that kind of is a confidence booster.
Okay. So my last question is, and I'm looking at my phone because I've got all the questions on email.
Right.
Um, so this is the last question, Varun. Do you have anything to share with someone who could be really struggling with their health? Um, any kind of health issue, whether mental or physical, that could inspire them to work on themselves.
Yes, of course. Again, I would begin with a quote. One day or day one. I think so. This would
Yeah,
sum it up all. I think so. That has been the element which has been a part of my life, and you see this living reality. A person who's been
absolutely.
who has been suffering. I wouldn't say who is suffering. I don't suffer. I am not suffering right now. So who had been suffering with medical issues, of course, and that has been one moment, one day where I chose that I need to wake up to myself. I need to start that one day. I think so. We need to take charge of our own self. That is very important. And rest follows. You need to be very true to your life. Whatever you're doing, like another thing I would say here is my life with 3D. Like, of course, right now we are into 4 dimensions, but I am living a 3D life and it can be possible for everybody. And my 3Ds over here is determination, dedication, and discipline. I think so. These three elements, when I incorporated them in my life, life has been 3D for me. And that sums up all.
Thank you so much, Varun. It was a pleasure talking to you as always. And as always, you never fail to inspire
Thank you.
just by
Thank
being
you.
yourself.
Gratitude.
I've
Thank you.
learned so much today from you. I've
Thank you.
got like a newfound love and respect for you, a lot more, and that's
Thank
always
you.
going to grow. So thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
we will have another conversation soon about something
Absolutely.
else that
Yes, we will.
that you work on. I'm not letting you go. Thank you so much, everyone,
Thank you. Thank you, Lord.
and looking forward to the next episode.
Yes,
Bye.
I am. Thank you. Bye.